double headphone? Is that what everyone does? One off? I'm like, we're not cutting vocals today.
I've had this one.
No.
Yeah, because
Ew.
the hair is so intense that it's like this.
Oh my
almost
God.
Like, it's like
I admire
and then
that.
they're like, oh no, wait, it's got to go back that way. Congrats. How does it sound to you now?
In headphones at Apple sounds great.
Sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It's what you do all the work for. You know, you put your heart and soul down, and then you find some really great people to help you realize it, make it sound good, and then you get the ultimate say. You're right there beside them. You're figuring out every single detail. You're in it. You get lost in it, and then you come out the other side, and it sounds like this.
Yeah, I feel like I just so lucky to have the amount of fun I did this time.
Yeah, and it was really cool to hear that. And I could tell when we spoke virtually the other day when we played Risk that you had a lot of fun. And I was really, really encouraged to see that because I know that you've been searching for a place to be able to write with a broad spectrum of emotional resonance for a while. Mm-hmm. And yet the last album felt like you had did some stuff to work through still.
I hope I'll always feel like I'm chasing the next kind of best version or whatever I actually need for myself at any given time with each album that I'm lucky enough to make. But this one just matched where I'm at in such a real way, as did Good Riddance at the time. But this, I feel like I'm in a different place. And I know that probably next year I'll look back and be like, oh, what was I talking about?
But even the human being that's sitting in front of me is different to the person who came and talked to me during Good Riddance. I feel like you were still trying to figure out what you wanted to say about that record because it was very close and it felt very near to you. Mm-hmm. And we had a great conversation about it. But, you know, you there's a different light around you this time around.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, I've got a sound effect for that.
What?
That's good.
What? Was that my voice?
No, can you imagine if we just turned it around that quick?
Holy shit, that actually just scared... Wait, will you play it one more time? Aw.
Can you imagine? The future is coming. Pretty soon.
If anyone could do it, it would be you.
Pretty soon you'll be able to say something and I'll just have it on my board and I'll repeat it back to you and you'll be like, oh shit, I'm an echo.
Nightmare.
So this beautiful album, The Secret of Us, we've got some stuff to talk about. But what I like about it is that I don't feel compelled, having listened to it multiple times now, to walk a line between how personal we get with some of the subject matter or not, which I always try to do really thoughtfully because I feel like there's some character work going on here and some fun stuff going on here. And it's like you've opened up the doors away from your own experience and allowed yourself to see through other people's eyes.
Wow.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think all of the songs are based in seeds of truth.
Yeah.
From my life and experiences and relationships, and from, I would say, Audrey Hobart, who I wrote many of the songs with, who's my bestie, and also, you know, friends of ours. But what was so much fun constantly with all of these songs was that, so I think like we'd take the seed and then be like, well, what if it's the most dramatic version of this feeling?
Yeah. Write it.
Yeah, just to a point of embarrassment often. Yeah.
That's what I love about Risk. That's what I talked about. Like, that's why I got overwhelmed when I was playing the song in front of you and I was just like, I'm going to take it too soon to tell you. This is brilliant. It's like that hysterical reaction to emotion is part of the human experience. And we often curb it when we're in the arts because we're like, I don't want to show that side of myself. Like, I need to be played cool or I need to find a different way in.
Yeah.
How, for people who are looking forward to doing that now that you've had the courage to do it, how rewarding and freeing was it just to let that side of the human experience fly and not curb it? That's
what made it fun. I think it was exploring it fully, and I also think it just helped me across the board, like be that expressive about those feelings. And it's like, it's just universal, I think, when you're in your head about someone new, which is the subject matter of a lot of these songs.
Yeah.
And if you're like remotely an anxious leaning human, I feel like you kind of, in your head, work through every possible outcome of a situation or a relationship before you even have the information to do so properly.
Well, that's where anxiety lives, in the unknown of the future or the impossible to change elements of your past.
Right. That should be in the dictionary. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like you can't do anything either side of it. And so the present becomes an untenable situation.
And I think rather than not talking about it with people, which I've done before, this was the opposite where, like, you know, I live with my best friend now. Between chunks of tour, we'd come home and just like...
download.
Yeah, hardcore, and to have someone who was also 24 being like, no, totally, was really, useful.
That's a really important point. As someone who's spoken to a lot of artists at a point in their life, not unsimilar to yourself, where it's like things are happening, but you're still young, but you're observing things with a maturity that comes from the acceleration of expression through the arts. So it's like most 24-year-olds who don't make music may not be thinking the way you're thinking because they're not being forced to, because you're like, I'm trying to get to a place even ahead of myself through my music. I'm trying to see things that I feel that other people might not come around to till much later. That's how I've always kind of seen the kind of, for lack of a better term, and this is a compliment, the precocious side of being an artist is like, I know it's in there. I'm going to look for it now and not in 4 years, 5 years' time.
I don't always know that it's in there. I think I often, when I'm in the middle of writing something, I don't necessarily believe in it immediately. And that was another one of the benefits of having such a close partner in making most of these songs and then making all of them with Aaron,
Cut you off at the first guess before you get to the second guessing.
Yeah, like just kind of a seal of approval of, that there's this, it's worth exploring, But, man, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous right now to be talking about the album. So just to say it. Yeah, just to say it. But it's also okay. Hi, everyone.
This is a really cool thing. I'm really appreciative of this because we've had a few people coming in on the, as new music is coming out, who have expressed a sense of, kind of a healthy sense of anxiety about this particular process. It's always been an unspoken thing in conversations, I think, because I feel it. It's not like I sit here and be like, oh, okay, item number 305, Gracie Abrams, The Secret of Us, next interview. Like I take this shit really seriously and I listen to the music and I really try to feel it so I know what kind of vibe I'm trying to create in the room. So I feel it too. I think it's really cool people are acknowledging it.
Just to say, in case I'm like, sweating in a visible way. I know we're sitting like 5 feet apart, but you might still see it.
I didn't want to say anything but a little.
I know.
Touch up. No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway,
what
sorry.
What I was going to say before was, not at all. What I was going to say before was that it's an important point to make that you've surrounded yourself with someone your own age who's going through what you're going through. Because so much about being an artist in this industry, when you start to build infrastructure, teams, great or otherwise, around you, is that everyone comes in to tell you or try to help you or influence you on what's best with more years. How many artists have been told, man, I've got this, like I've seen this before. Isn't it great to be able to go home to someone and see things for the first time together?
Yeah, and it's 1,000,000%, and it's one of the things I appreciated so much about working with her, because she hadn't written music before we started doing these songs. Yeah. And people have asked me what it's like. And she's so good, but it's like because there's a kind of pure approach to just trying to express the thing we both know is there.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, why not? And also I think that's what kept it fun, and I keep saying that word and I need to use slightly different ones. But just because oftentimes the lyrics that we ended up keeping were the ones that made us like smile, not where we're like undermining the feeling, but where it's just like, oh, that is the core of it.
Like, felt good about you until I didn't. Like, that is a funny line.
Thanks.
It is. And it starts the album in a really meaningful way, because then you explain it and you give it a criteria as to why this feeling exists. But it's a hell of a way to start the album. It's the kind of thing that you say to somebody on the way out the door as either you're leaving or they're leaving, and it's like your parting gesture to another disappointing scenario is, well, I felt good about you until I didn't.
I know, we should put it on the back of a shirt.
It's really good. Because, you should have felt good about you on the front until I didn't on the back.
You get 50% of all.
It's okay. You can keep all revenue. I'm doing fine in my life.
That's true.
Ideas are free. And the day we stopped pretending they weren't free, we fucked up. We really fucked up. Ideas are free. No, I can definitely get a sense of the fun side of the honesty that goes into this. And often honesty in songwriting is kind of attributed to pain and tough and trauma, and I'm so honest. Thank you for being so honest. How many times have I said that?
Right.
I've meant it every time. Thank you for being so honest. Thank you for being honest and being fun about it and being playful with it as well.
It just helps you swallow embarrassment, disappointment. And it's also really important to go through that. Those relationships where you're like, oh, I thought this was going to be something else. And I think I've also, what I also learned about myself through this album is I just do so much projecting all the time. And I think it's maybe why I feel nervous around talking about the album with you, because I don't, I change my mind a lot.
Right.
And I think this album is a lot of changing my mind and a lot of kind of like defending my pride in the face of someone who I'm like drawn to and wanting to not be embarrassed and wanting to like look cool but not knowing how to do it. And this album is kind of like the inner tornado, I guess, when you're trying to present a way and then it just doesn't actually really ultimately work.
Damn, Gracie. You just summed it up. I had to drop a bomb on that. Just to embarrass you even further. I don't drop them unless it's truth. It's a truth bomb button.
Okay, I like that.
No, it's amazing what you just said, because you just summed up the innate and instinctive thrash of indecision that ultimately we live in every second of every day. We just don't have a presence of mind to acknowledge it. Like, I'm hungry, not really hungry. I like you, but equally you kind of piss me off, but then I know I'm annoying to be around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like...
That actually what you just said is a yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you're just doing it in such a kind of rapid pace. And the songs do have a really, and again, compliment, they have a frantic energy to them in terms of the performance and the writing. And what Aaron does so beautifully is he builds calm around that.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself to listen to is a really cool contradiction.
Oh, thank you.
Of like,
he's
okay,
excellent. Obviously.
it's a really safe place, up in wherever the fuck he is in the middle of nowhere in the sticks, up and up and up and up. For you just to sort of let it all happen. So when you started writing songs long before this album existed, and you knew you had a voice that you wanted to explore, and things you wanted to say through music. Was it an embarrassing experience for you? Did it take a lot for you to climb over that sense of how do I show and tell this?
I just wasn't showing it. Like when I started writing songs, it was just an extension of journaling, which I would never show anyone, and I think the thing that I guess at the time, yes, it was private. And when I started doing anything online, it was easy both because I grew up with the internet, so that was just always there, and I didn't have to face people. So it didn't feel like I was confronting real reactions or criticism or...
I feel like your generation was probably one of, if not the first generation, to be able to draw a line between the internet being real and kind of something else. In a weird way.
I feel like now I'm just on it less in general, so I'm relieved to be in a place where that's true. But I think I totally believed it at the time to really be like, as tangible as everything else here is.
Yeah.
But then the thing that I love now and what I feel so grateful to have realized is that I think the most important thing with songwriting, and it's what we wanted to do with this album, is just if you can articulate a feeling and you can just put it somewhere, it's, for someone else who isn't you to connect with that makes it all feel...
It's magic.
Yeah, it just does. And I think that was why we tried to make this fun, or it just came out in a way that was purely fun, and I was imagining the tour the whole time we were writing, because I just think the exchange of or I guess acknowledging like we've all felt this way, because in the moment it's so shitty sort of to be like, I don't know how this person feels about me, I don't know, and then also to have an even bigger picture view of like, well, also, who even cares? This is a small problem in the grand scheme of problems.
But if we thought like that, no art gets made.
I know. I think that's probably right, but that's where my brain goes. Anyway, so I think I just feel like an overwhelming sense of gratitude to have had such a good time making something that I hope allows other people who are feeling these feelings to, sing or scream about it with their friends rather than box themselves in and, shy away from like how strange it can all be.
Well, it's going to get stranger because you're going to see that every night on tour. And I mean, you've written a collection of songs here that really do, they're asking for the community to partake in them. These are not the inner workings of an artist trying to find themselves entirely. This is an outward expression of joy and confusion to an audience to say, if you feel it, let me
totally
give it back. You're going to get that. I mean, I feel that. This feels like, I mean, it's almost your EDM record.
Oh my God. Should I start saying that?
So
Tell
good.
everyone that.
It's so strange. I love it. But it's like your community experience record in a lot of ways, at least the first one.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was like, I again had a partner in the room with me. We were just singing the lyrics together, and that just felt good. Like, versus every other project I've made is like in the quietest corner of the smallest room alone. You know what I mean? Like a trying to really self-isolate. This was different, and it feels like who I am today. So it's a relief. Yeah.
So you kind of summed up who Us was at the beginning in terms of like, if you want to talk about it from a songwriting palette, here are the colors. The colors are a little, some of me, some of, Audrey, right? Audrey, some of my friends, that's the Us, whatever. But I think that Us might be you and Audrey. Isn't that the secret of Us? Isn't it kind of the two of you just kind of coming together and laying it all out on the table?
I think there's like a plethora of Us's that are wrapped in, which is what makes it fun for me. But yes, I mean...
Yeah, it's a diversionary tactic. You've created the ultimate songwriting diversionary tactic. I'm like, so let's talk about song number 7. And you're like, well, it's just one of the Us's.
Exactly.
It's just one of the many Us's.
No, but it's true. I mean, this is totally it's an amalgamation of lots of different things. But yes, I think... I mean, we've already talked about it, but yes, she and I are deeply, deeply close and doing this together.
You know the environment that you're making this record in pretty well now. I mean, this is not your first time working with Aaron. You guys have cut your teeth together to figure out what works for the two of you, makes it unique because every producer has a unique approach. So how did you push each other on this record? Where were the learnings for the two of you on Secret of Us?
He was so encouraging that I co-produce with him, and that was... just his kind of selflessness, first of all, or like lack of ego, I guess is what it is like something that I admire so deeply because I think what he has always encouraged me to do is just go deeper and grow more and more connected to what I've written, so he totally just greenlit every idea that I had. And our instincts are different. So it was kind of just like we'd try a ton of different synth sounds before agreeing on the right one. But like the fact that he was like, yes, play everything, touch everything, do it all, like get in there, change all the levels. And in a way that I don't think everyone is wildly encouraging of, because it's also like it's his space, but we know each other so well, we're like family at this point. So it was really, I think, this album and exploring and pushing it further and into a new kind of lane, I guess, for both of us. It felt natural and also is like a real gift.
I'd imagine he doesn't have to work with anybody unless he's curious about how they're going to change his environment and his way of working. I mean, I often think if you're a producer or an engineer and you find yourself in a space where you've got it so dialed in that people have got to kind of curtail to your vision, it must be, regardless how it makes someone else feel, just on personal growth level, redundant. What are you learning?
Yeah, totally. He's such a curious person, and the people that he works with and the friends that he has and his family, it's such a the range of personalities, and I want to be like that.
Well, you are. And I mean, it's the beautiful thing about continuing to build a creative relationship with someone like Aaron is that you learn as you go. And the next thing you know, you're doing it with somebody else and somebody else. And so is that your biggest learning from that actually, as well as being a songwriter and a performer and somebody who can build an artist world around themselves, that you can now see a world, like you just said, where you can do that, where you can start to work with artists from that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I guess working with Audrey is a good example of, working with someone new, just because her energy is so specific and different from mine, but like in a way we both trust entirely. And so it gave us the space, because we wrote most of these songs on our couch at home, to be as kind of outrageous about it as we want, but there is trust there. So I think like it's something I've learned from Aaron and something I've been really privileged to experience, throughout the course of the past handful of years that I've been recording, I've always worked with people who I genuinely love and trust. And so I'm always, that's like, it's been such a privilege that that's been the baseline for me, because I know that that's a really rare thing for young musicians, for musicians, period.
You've been and are being raised by great parents, creative parents. And of course you have great parents, but great creative parents.
No,
and I mean,
totally.
You're right. It's incredibly common for artists to find the wrong parents.
Totally. And I think it's like, I think about it all the time, because I just, in different conversations I have with people about, I guess like safety in the music industry even. Like I know that one of the greatest gifts of my life is I don't feel like I've been like personally like burned by anyone that I've been vulnerable with. And it is already inherently just such a weird thing to like step into a room and be like, here are my feelings and this is my heart and soul. And I'm, and the fact that I've been lucky enough to work with people that honor that and aren't boundary crossing, and that it's just so lucky. So, I guess my hope is to continue to work with people who want to honor that kind of environment.
I think it inspires others to make good decisions. I also think luck does play a part in timing and great music. But, there's a strength that you, whether you recognize it or not, that you do exude in terms of your vision and what you want to do, that I think even if somebody was coming in there to try to manipulate the scenario for their benefit, might think twice when they meet you, whether you recognize that or not. I've certainly recognized that when I meet you as a young artist. I'm like, oh, Gracie knows what she wants, right?
Oh,
and so where now, as you mature as an artist, do you see your greatest strength as an artist, do you think? Or even just as a person navigating this strange world, as you put it?
Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, man. I've
a little too early for deep self-analysis?
No, I mean, no, I think...
My bad.
No. Honestly, I feel right now very surrendered to... I feel like I know myself enough to like be a good listener, and that's something that I've been like actively working on over the past couple of years. But I think that it's really helped my writing. Like I think that as an artist, that is one of my biggest strengths right now. I hope it is, at least, and I hope that the people in my life feel that way. But I'm really like actively trying to do that.
I tell you why it's cool, because I benefited from it myself, and I learned it way after you.
Mm-hmm.
I came into this thinking that, I had to fill the dead air and try to find ways to keep the conversation moving and constantly add. And I love to add because I love having conversations.
Well, you're very good at it, obviously.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that my greatest learning curve came when I realized that actually if I just listened to what the talented people in front of me were saying, I'd be fine.
I feel like it's so fascinating, because I feel like I think that what I recognize is feeling different, and it's probably because I'm the one who's experiencing it up close. But I feel like with, the people that are generous enough to listen to the music that I make, that audience and I have a really sincere relationship that makes me want to make things. Like it's
to
weirdly
keep the relationship alive.
Yeah, like it does feel like a real exchange to me, and I think that most of my days for the past 2.5 years have been on the road touring, and so it makes sense that it would have kind of really gone up in terms of my list of priorities, like maintaining that kind of, it feels really sacred to me. And I think a lot of that has to do with listening to each other. And I know that they listen to my songs, but like I want to know them as much as they know me. And it fuels the kind of music that we make. And, the tone of this album is very much influenced, yes, by my feelings and, Audrey's feelings and our imagination, but also by their personality. And so, trying to like tune into that as much as possible all the time.
What is the sort of commonality that you recognize, having met now thousands of people who you have in common, that you make music and you speak to them and they speak to you and you share this kind of common ground of human experience. What are some of the traits that you feel you see more often than not?
Well, I think there's just there are formative experiences that you go through when you're growing up, and we are growing up together, me and them, which acknowledging that makes it easier to speak to everything that we do in this album, you know? And it's what makes me excited about being able to sing it with them is because, you know, they write to me about their relationships every day. They tell me to my face when I am lucky enough to be in the same room as them what they're going through. And I know it's all the same. And I think it's funny because, I don't know, it maybe not everyone assumes that it's as universal as it is, but it really is. So.
No, it really is. And it actually doesn't go away. The weird thing is, even though you're right, some of these songs really will resonate with fans your age or younger. People are falling in and out of friendships, relationships, romantic relationships all the time. They're feeling irrational experiences internally all the time. As we get older, though, I think we just get better at either ignoring them, banishing them, belittling those feelings, those thoughts. It's like, man, why not just live in them for a minute?
I know. I still do that all the time, the belittling of it. Or I find myself, and it kind of influenced some of the album, the laughter around these feelings, which was really useful. But I think sometimes, and it's what I'm trying to catch myself, is laughing in a way that actually diminishes the feeling or my experience or makes, it can make someone else uncomfortable, even if it's just my own, me dealing with discomfort or embarrassment. It's really important, I find, to just sit with it. And I've been only, kind of implementing that post-album.
Yeah.
In the way that I'm talking about it with people, because the truth is that I can be yeah, we had the best time, and I was laughing the whole time. But I was also really reeling and upset often too. And a lot of what made the album what made me feel better through the album was, yes, sharing in it and being haha, isn't it funny if we phrase this feeling like this? And it's all true, but I also... it's I made an album, I was feeling intensely. I can't even put on a front that I wasn't affected.
That's why your music is so effective, Gracie, to me, at least when I hear it, and millions of other people, is the fact that you are never too far away from self-examination and taking some responsibility for the thing. You're never too far away from finding the ludicrous nature of it, but also right at the core of it is a real emotion. I mean, take a look at Blowing Smoke, which I really enjoy. And I love that song, right? Tell me, is she prettier than she was on the internet? That's funny.
Thanks.
Right? Are your conversations cool? Are you even interested? That's just straight up fucking diss talk, right? Then I know what you are. You could have just said that. Mm-hmm. That's the most cut to the bone thing you can say to anybody in a moment of disagreement or distrust is, I know not who you are. I know what you are.
This one's petty, yeah.
Fucked up. Brighter than the stars, tell me if she takes you far, bar. Far enough away from all the baggage you've been carrying. Up another hill to all the girls who help you bury it. They're just blowing smoke. I'll say what they won't. I know everything they don't.
Oh, I was in a mood.
Holy shit, you're in a mood.
Yeah.
But you got it out. And you made a great song out of it. But it's just, even in that chorus, what's wrapped up in that is just I hate you, I hate me. I hate her, but then I hate me even more than her. Yeah. But I hate you for being with her and not me, because now you've made her life more miserable than mine, and I'm glad to be done with you.
I know. Well, it's so transparent. Oh, it's just the thing. It's
it's great writing, man.
Thank you.
For what it's worth.
Thanks, man. It's transparent though too. I think even in the moment or when I'm writing it, I wasn't thinking well, Gracie,
this is unhinged.
This is unhinged, and also, but it's also I don't know. I think there's something when I feel compelled to write, it's because I'm bubbling up and
what does that feel like?
It feels like my veins are truly boiling. I don't know how to when it was with Blowing Smoke specifically, but honestly with all the songs on this album came from a place of just almost I'm nauseous. I'm nauseous.
If I don't get this out, I could be sick.
Which is how I felt when I was little and writing, and I think that's why there's so much joy associated with this album for me, is because it's seeped in a feeling that I remember having when I was really little and before I started putting out music, and I was just writing, for myself. it just felt like the purest form. Like, and I was writing in real time with this whole album. So it really was, I felt like I was internally like boiling over, I suppose. And
fuck, man. That's why you hear it. Everyone's going to hear it. Like, so exciting. I mean, they will have heard it by the time this conversation goes out. People will be aware of all of the nuances and the detail and the visceral experience you're going through that somehow you got to capture and you got to put it to music. And then when you perform it, you got to recapture it.
Yeah. And
figure out how it felt back then today.
It's so easy for me to do with this album when I think about, it's not easy for me to do. I'm not saying it's easy for me to do that. No.
That was,
no.
Do we get it?
No.
Cut it, print it. But it's already on the internet. In fact, I can play it off the wall here if you want. Here it is. There you go.
No, what I mean is it's easy for me to, with this album, I remember everything about the writing process. I know is quite recent, so it's not that impressive. But the way that I felt crazy when we were making this. Like, I constantly felt like I was actually losing it. And I think that, like, I'm like, haha, the character was unwell. But
character again.
I think that I'm just desperately excited to perform it live. Because it is like, it's all of just incredibly human feelings to have. And I love leaning into, the drama, I guess.
There is a song at number 5 on the track listing, which is a title track of sorts. Mm-hmm. The album is called The Secret of Us, but the song is just simply called Us. And okay, if it was, how do I put this? If it was just you with an acoustic guitar thematically, I think it would beautifully anchor the entire experience. But it's not. It's probably the most produced, full-sounding, ambitious, and realized ambition experience you've had as an artist in terms of like leaning into a place where power is required.
Yeah.
And then you also brought your friend along and did it together, which is a beautiful experience for both you and Taylor, because Taylor chooses her collaborators very carefully and very thoughtfully. It's never a trade. It's got to mean something, so you know it means something. And I feel like it's one of those moments, just as a fan, where I'm hearing two friends really just sing to each other. Mm-hmm. Not like, okay, you're up. It's
no.
Like, no, we're staring at each other the entire time. And that's my favorite kind of collaboration, because it's like that 80s shit. It's that David Bowie, Tina Turner, like, I don't give a fuck who's watching us. It's just us. Do you know what I mean?
We felt very much, we were, the whole writing process was like that night.
Can you just tell the whole story?
Yes.
Just once.
Can I? Top to bottom?
Top to bottom.
Okay, because it's dramatic. We almost burned her house down. Literally, like actually almost burned her. It was very...
You can't laugh when people say that you nearly burned down Taylor. No. So fans will feel some kind of way about that.
Yeah. I'm like, everyone careful.
Oh, is that funny to you? Ha funny?
Okay, this is what happened. We went to dinner and we drank a lot of alcohol, and we were talking about our lives, and then we were talking about our albums, and she was in the middle of Tortured Poets and I was in the middle of this, and we were just getting so, like, we were just so excited talking about all of it. And she was like, we have to go back to the house and I want to play you the songs and blah, blah, blah. So we went back to her house and we like opened a bottle of wine and we went song for song in the kitchen, and we were being like theater kids.
Amazing.
About like
singing
truly like
your songs to each other.
But like standing and like running around the center island being like, about
That's
all the
awesome.
songs. And they were and it was so funny. Like the whole time I was like, this is ridiculous. Like this is crazy. And at this point it's like 2 a.m, and we, off the back of playing song for song for like, I don't know how long, we were listening through sketches that Aaron had sent us. And the guitar part for us came on. Yeah, the opening part. And immediately we were both like, And so we ran to, and we had no plan to make any, whatever. But it felt just like a Nashville writing session. Like we sat at the piano, just like found the key, and then wrote the whole song. And
at 2 a.m.
At 2, from like 2 to 6 a.m. And it's so crazy, like the amount of, we filmed the whole thing because we were like, we need to film this, but we just needed to get it all down, whatever. Yeah. And it was so full body, like it was like dramatic, but it was so much fun, and it was like the exact version of the way that like Audrey and I wrote all of the songs at home, like after having wine and dinner and whatever, and then you're like, I can't not think about this feeling that I'm having, like let's have a conversation, and the dinner conversation ended up in the song. Do you know what I'm saying?
You're living an experience and you're emoting through it, and you found a piece of music at the time which actually triggered the whole thing.
Yeah, completely. Again,
otherwise it's just a story, right?
No, literally. So then we're writing, and we had the bridge is, like a very large majority of the song. It's like huge and whatever, and we were headbanging to it, the piano, whatever, and I'd heard like a crack from the other room. I was like, "What is that? What is that?" And Taylor was like, oh, it's probably my cat, like, I think, whatever. We finished the bridge and we went into the kitchen to get probably wine, and there was like a bonfire on her center island, like truly like a huge ball of flame. There had been a candle that we had lit when we got home, and it was so hot that it burst, and the base of the candle was this like wooden, like a tree trunk kind of a thing.
That's a great product.
I know. I'm gonna get her a new one, and it was on fire, and it was like 6 a.m. We're like, what the fuck?
And I mean, when you're saying,
I mean like fire,
flames,
like it was, and I don't know how she knew where this was, but she runs and grabs a fire extinguisher. And no, and for like minutes is like trying to get it to work, and it won't work. And I was just like this. I'm like crying, like home video. I'm like, hey girl, but I had a similar problem earlier. I had weirdly like a candle burst, and I learned that if you put water on it, because
did you
wax,
buy the same candle
oil, and water
that burst in your shit.
No,
and gave
I wasn't
it to Taylor?
trying to. No. And anyway, eventually she burned it, took it all out, when it put it out.
Yeah, extinguished the fire.
Extinguished it.
Yeah,
and then we both had like crazy like chest coughs for weeks after, because the whole kitchen was like covered in, anyway, but the us came from that night, so that was a really good night. No one got hurt. We actually we did get like burned from the wax and all that stuff. It was gnarly, but it was so funny.
There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, fire extinguishers, why so hard? I mean, if you need to use a fire extinguisher,
it could have been that we were drunk. Let's just not blame the device first.
No, there's a lot of flicking this and doing that and unlocking that and figuring that part out.
I've never had to.
Obviously, until now. It doesn't sound like you were much help either. You were filming the whole thing.
There is.
Oh my God, you are so fucking Gen Z. You got your phone out and filmed it.
I know,
she's so millennial. She's just like, I gotta fix it.
Yeah,
and you're
but
Gen Z, like, I'm gonna film it.
Yeah, but Taylor's always like, I've got it. No matter what the situation, she's like, me. I've got it. Anyway, so us came from that. Yeah.
That is an even better story than I could have possibly imagined. But, getting away from the potential fire hazard and the cough, which we haven't even focused on how gnarly the cough was. That's pretty heavy. And so you would text each other.
She was in the middle of tour.
So she has to go out and play.
She was on air. She had gotten,
show.
By the way, I think it was from, it was South America, I remember, but she had landed truly an hour before we went to dinner. And I don't know anyway, her capacity for all things is beyond me. For fun.
For her capacity for fun.
Yes.
I like that we can say that on the air, because everyone talks a lot about Taylor's talent and the way that it equates to success. It's a given. You put that much quality and consistency into a life of servitude to the arts and gift it to people, then needless to say, if you hold your line and you are a good person, you hold it down, success will come. That's wonderful. Everyone's obsessed with that shit. But I like the fact that she's having fun. That's what I like. And every time I've ever met her, she's a riot.
Yeah.
Get her on the air. Yeah, she's dead serious about her craft, and we have that in common. I'm dead serious about her craft too. But off the air, she's wicked.
She's the best. Yeah, it was obviously, and then she's been an unbelievable friend to me. But I also am sitting there being like, I used to play that game in my head when I was little.
Yeah.
Writing songs of like, what would Taylor maybe say here? Like, I literally, like, that used to be like, you know, who would you choose if you could pick anyone in the world to write a song, you know? And then I'm like, wow, we almost both died in flames writing a song. That's not what I thought.
I want to stay there in that moment for a second where you were when you were making it all up, dreaming it all up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, you know, so much about making art then quickly gets turned into scale. Like, okay, I work at a streaming service, all about numbers, math, great. Math's is the divine equation of music success. Now it's math. It's not what I ever imagined. And now we're going into a whole world where we're going to have to sort of fight the good fight to ensure that AI remains a tool and not a scalable replacement, which is very real. Yeah. And you won't let it happen, and I won't let it happen, so it's not going to happen because they can't do it without the artists, and they can't do it without the people who support the art. And there aren't enough fans who like easy shit to build a career around it.
You have a lot of faith.
But don't you love making music?
What? Yeah, duh. I mean, it's like...
Why would you do it? Why would you make it easier for yourself? I have this theory, Gracie.
No, God, no.
Can I share it with you?
Yes, please.
The idea of AI is to ultimately, this is what they tell us, is to ultimately create more time for people to do things that will enable us to build to grow, to evolve into a holistic, better human, whatever that is, right? Yeah. Right. So one of the things I would imagine is at the very top, if not at the top of that list, would be to learn an instrument and express yourself. So why the fuck are you saving time making music? Isn't that the thing you should be using your spare time to do?
That just concerns me.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, anyway, we feel the same way.
I'm all about progress, but anyway, I was worried, I'm not worried because I realize when artists make it, they love it. So, and also I'm not worried because it's not anyone's dream to spend 5 minutes making something through AI. You don't manifest joy and a wonderful life's experience doing that. You manifest joy and a wonderful life's experience dreaming of playing football with Lionel Messi or in the WNBA and then making it. Mm-hmm. Or going and, being a surgeon and studying under somebody who inspires you as a student and then end up sharing a faculty with them.
Yeah, completely.
And dreaming of writing songs for Taylor Swift and then writing a song with Taylor Swift. That is the purpose, is it not? I know it took a minute to get there, but do you know what I'm saying?
No, it's such a privilege to be able to spend any time and hopefully as much time as possible doing the thing that you love to do.
Through the work and through the pain and the challenge of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's required in order to evolve.
You got to acknowledge the magic of A to B.
Yeah, totally.
And also accept all the time in the middle that you took to get there, but just simplify the equation of I was A and I got to B.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I'm like, there's a lot of messy, gnarly kind of shit in the middle. But yes, it's beyond me.
This album is called The Secret of Us. It finishes with a song called Close to You. Why? I'm a big track listing fan, and I want to know why.
Well, it was initially 12 songs, and it ends on Free Now, which in my mind is still
the album closer.
The closer. Close to You thematically and sonically finally worked within this collection of songs. Am I not sure about it?
Yeah.
No, I love the song. I genuinely...
I mean, where it is in the order of things.
Oh, no. It's perfectly there. But if you see the track list, the way it's written, it's P.S.
Yeah.
The song wouldn't have been revisited 7 years after it was written if it wasn't for my audience really adamantly going after it. So it fits here. I love the concept of ending on it. It makes me happy. I picture the live show and I see it similarly, and that made me happy, and I wanted them to have it. So
that's really cool.
So it belongs.
So you have this really great friendship with Audrey where the two of you have had your first stab at living together and writing together, and now she's a songwriter. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
Epic.
I'd imagine that's something that you don't want to let go of. And I mean, we all look for new reasons to explore and experiment and grow, and nothing lasts forever. But must be nice to think that you've got that to come home to again.
It's so important to me, and our friendship is the number one priority, among all of it. But the fact that we can do all of these things at once feels really lucky, because it's always complicated. You know what I mean? Living with someone's complicated. Then working with someone's complicated, and having a best friend is always complicated. But we just trust each other, and we've gotten good at communication, I think, through each other.
Yeah.
Just directness, and again, all we do when we're writing is expressing our feelings. So
is it important to the two of you that you go out on the road, or is it important that you have space and come back with new experiences that are separate to each other? Because otherwise you'd be writing about the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, we just are different people and we have our own lives. So I think maintaining that is also just crucial. But it doesn't feel like we're ever thinking too hard, which is what I think it benefited the album. Just being like fluid with all the feelings all the time.
What about the songwriting side of your life outside of yourself? I know this might seem cheeky because no one sings your songs better than you, but
that's definitely not true. I don't think that's true. I mean, I've heard people like on like people who are generous enough to know the lyrics. I've heard people sing it. I'm like, that's yours now.
You mean online and stuff?
Yeah, I'm just like...
That's cool. I mean, you can have that opinion.
Anyway, that's what came into my head when you said that. I was like, well, I've heard someone sing it better.
I was trying to figure that out. Because, I mean, it's like... I mean,
do you mean in general because of the personal voice?
If I take the internet out of things, which I try to do in my life all the time,
I know. Sorry,
it's factually correct that no one can sing your songs better.
Yeah. Okay, yes. Yes.
But that being said, you know, you've got a voice as a writer now, which... I can hear somebody singing for the first time on this album. Before I could never do that. I was like, Gracie sings Gracie songs. Mm. I wonder whether you'd be interested in writing with others in the same way that Taylor's had a great, and some of your other friends, and Aaron works with people all the time.
Yeah.
And how you feel about the idea of being part of a collective of creative people now that your voice is so strong and so established.
I want to do it.
You sounded like you were convincing yourself. So I want to do
Joey, you want to know what I mean? This is what I recently...
Sorry, it's the fun part of the interview. I can't stop the lols.
I love it.
I need the lols.
Keep them up. I was at Electric Lady a couple weeks ago, and we did Close to You there 2 months ago or something like that for 48 hours. Like, it was quick. And that was my first time working there, but I've been in and out a bunch, just like visiting and saying hi to whatever.
At Jack's place basically is where you've been hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And his scene not seen as we spent 20 minutes trying to figure out in our conversation, but yeah, Karen.
Yeah. Yes. So in that room, I was there a couple weeks ago and for like a week and a half, and it was the first time that I'd really been in a studio where it's like, first of all, and I think part of it is New York, and I've been spending a lot of my time there, and it has felt really generative and just kind of more conducive with...
It's coming back.
Yeah. And I guess, honestly, the reason that my answer to your question is like big yes is because having been at Electric Lady, like people are... every room is filled, and it's different people every day, and everyone's curious about like interacting with each other, and new music has come from that, you know, new music of mine that wouldn't have come had there not been community. Does that make sense?
Because I'm going to cut to the chase here. You're making another record, or at least some songs.
We're just making things.
Music.
Yeah.
And the door is more open than it's been before because your collaborative experience, this is what I'm taking, your collaborative experience with Audrey has shown you that you can.
Yes, and that it's like a good time.
Yeah,
and I think I have led with like fear of doing, you know, anything with anyone ever, and I don't mean like just music, just in life. I've just leaned anxious, cautious, like self-protective in a way that has often been unnecessary and only ever like hindered my, you know, abilities to like grow, I guess. But I feel like I'm really trying to get over that. And I feel
like this album's going to be a good friend to you there.
It has been, but it's also been fun. You know, listening back and doing any kind of analysis of the self has been funny because I'm like the person that I've actually realized that I am through this album is like sort of a realist or wanting to be a realist, but actually like deep down wanting all the magic and being a romantic. And I think those two things often butt heads. And I feel that a lot of the time. And I think it's a choice to lean into the magic.
Yeah.
And it takes active thought to do that for me. But I'm trying to more and more, and that extends into, you know, collaborating with people or falling in love with someone or, you know, meeting an epic friend or something. You know, it's just like leaning in. So trying to do that, yeah.
Shit, man, 24 and figuring it out one album at a time, one day at a time. It's great to see you. You know, when we first started playing your music, I think everybody knew, you know, deep down that this was like going to be, as long as you kept doing it, that we'd see this and hear this growth, and we'd have this artist that we could come back to and listen to over and over again. And that's what you want. You just want to be like, oh, cool, I can add this person to my own experiences through song or whatever. But to hear you make this record and just get a sense that you're so happy and excited about the future is great. I'm really happy for you. And I know everyone's going to love this. I'm seeing more shows get put on. You know, how about 2 nights at Radio City Music Hall? Your big 3? Shit.
3.
Fucking show off. I love it.
I'm so nervous.
Multiple Greeks. It's your time, Gracie. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for being the greatest ever. Thank you all.